I flunked out of ninth grade like 3 times. I just kept going, like just kept flunking, and it was just very clear this wasn't going to happen. And then I got sober, and I took the high school equivalency test, and I ended up going to community college in Oakland and starting to like recobble this life. You know, as I'm doing all these things, as I'm throwing raves, and as I'm starting to go to Burning Man and starting to figure all these like things out that I like socially, I was also trying to like cobble together this identity of like who I'm going to be. And in school, in college, I discovered like theater. I got my start in the theater in 4th grade.
Mm-hmm, right. Writing and acting.
Writing and acting, kind of an auteur. But I kind of got back into it in college, and I started studying playwriting, and I started studying acting, and I couldn't decide, like, do I want to be a playwright? Do I want to be an actor? Do I want to, and I was also, maybe I'm going to be an academic. I was just all over the place. And I took a trip to New York on one summer, and my friend Chelsea Peretti, who I'd grown up with, who went to school with me, very popular, hilarious stand-up and actress, she had started doing stand-up. And I had been like, I wanted to be like this sort of Eric Bogosian kind of Spalding Gray guy, you know, where I stand on a stage. I have an essay. I used to write these like long-form monologues, and one of which was this. A friend of mine got diagnosed with HIV, like, and he was like one of my best friends growing up. And I wrote this monologue about a young person finding out that they have HIV, and that was my first published piece. Was that one of the drama teachers that I worked with in college was like, read it and was like, "Are you okay?" And published it in this thing called More Monologues by Men for Men, Volume 2. It is so dramatically over the top and so not my story to tell that if it were discovered, it's available on Amazon right now, it would probably destroy me. I mean, so that's sort of where I was at. I was like, I'm going to be like a thunderclap of dramatism, but also I'm funny, and also I just was sort of all over the place. And then Chelsea took me to an open mic in New York, and I saw Patrice O'Neill, and I saw Sarah Silverman, and I remember sitting in that show going, I was like astounded. They were so transgressive. And this is at a time when this is before comedy had become a kind of sort of polarized ideological warfare about like what's good and what isn't good to say. We weren't there yet.
Right.
So it was like funny is all that matters.
Right.
And I remember Patrice, you know Patrice O'Neill?
I don't, no.
You should look him up. One of the funniest and truly most, offensive and just, I used to call him, he was like a philosopher of piece of shitness. He was like, IQ was probably in the 200s,
right,
and the things he was talking about were vile.
Base level. The bad kid in you was attracted to all of this, right?
Yeah. And it was like, whoa, it like thunderstruck me. Like, and Sarah Silverman was extremely edgy. I remember some of the jokes she was making, and it was just, I couldn't wrap my brain around it. I never thought of comedy for its own sake. In these long monologues I was trying to write, it was like comedy to get to reveal the HIV diagnosis or whatever. And this was like, it's comedy for comedy. And then the next night, I went to another show with Chelsea that she was on. This time she was on it. And this was like very playful and much softer and much kinder. But she was performing, and she was like, me. She had gone to Oakland public schools, and I'd grown up with her, and she was a human being, as opposed to these like demigods that I'd witnessed the night before. I was like, that's a human being doing it, a person like me. And I said, wow, like she can do it, and she was good. Right. And I go, if she can do it, maybe I could try doing it. And so I told her, this was in June. I said, June of 2002, I think. I said, when you come to Oakland this summer, because I knew she was coming to see her family, I will have written 5 minutes of material, and I want to try this. And will you take me to an open mic? And she would, and she did, and I did, and that is how I started.